Hi everyone, this is Upcoming Revolution in China. Today is June 26, 2018. I am Yang. This is Deb. This is our third episode. We have done two episodes before, and we are gonna continue talking about issues in China, and we're gonna bring you guys some of the things that you never heard about, what's really going on in China. So you've never been to China. What is your impression about China?
It's difficult to really form an impression because you had so many things that you knew from the past, and that have been compared to what's going on today, or should I say what's really going on today. And then you also have, when you start trying to delve into it and find out anything, you end up with a quandary because you've got the people that are there and you're only getting what they allow you to know, or what they want you to know. And then on the other hand, here or in the other countries, you've got what they want you to know. So you have to kind of try to figure it out.
It's like there are like too many middlemen in the business.
And they all have their own agendas, or they all have their own, like they want to put on a face. China, that's my impression, is they want to put on a face to the world.
You think?
And they're keeping us from knowing what the real face is. That's just my impression.
You think both Chinese government and the U.S. government, or say the media, they both have their different agendas to like how to say that, like show an image of China of what they want.
Yes, yeah, but I think it's more just my own impression. I think it's more on China's side of not wanting us to know what is really going on. And of course you do have, human rights activists and things like that that want to concentrate on just what they want to show or whatever, But so you try to glean what you feel is true.
Well, over there, the Chinese government, I think recently in the past 10-20 years, they have been trying to show the world a great image. Like, we have been working hard, we have been getting better, and they want to impress the whole world. And I think that's like one of the Asian cultures that Asian people from the history, like for some reason they are like caring, they care very much about what people think of them, so they want to put on this disguise, not even just the government, like in people's daily life they do that too. It's like I heard this joke in China that a lot of people, they go home, they eat ramen noodle, but they spend all their money on like a nice suit, fancy suit, so they let people, see they're doing well. So China, I think in the past couple of years after the new president Xi, he took over China, he has been giving out money like to every different countries, trying to buy friendship or something, to let other people support him, especially the third world country, like in I think Africa or in South America, like the poor countries, is really trying to make connection with them and giving them a lot of money, helping them, supporting them, and I think he's also trying to being nice to the U.S. government. And a lot of people say and believe that they are, trying to zip your mouth, so you don't say anything about, their human rights issues and stuff. And they have an agenda that they want to. They think for them it's better for China to get rich, powerful first, then they can take care of the human rights issues later on. That's their thoughts, I think.
Is that the government's thoughts, or are you saying that's the people's thoughts? Is the government really concerned with taking care of the people?
I'm not very sure about this. They, like, speaking of, the people and the government, I think they are like two different things, because Chinese people, they don't care that much about politics. They don't care about, the human rights or democracy. They are more like, I think it has a lot to do with the cultural background and the how you say that, their economies, because China has always been, I think not anymore, but has always been how you say that word, agricultural country. Mm-hmm. So back in the days, they were like growing things, they were planting things, there was no business. So people in China back in the days, they were considering like a businessman the lowest class in the society. If even you have a lot of money, you have a wealthy life, but back in the days in China, people look down on you. They think businessman equals scam. That's how they think. So back in the days in China, people only have to take care of their own business. Like I grow my own plants. I farm on my own. I don't need you. So I say, I'll be like, hi, but there's no business between us. So I don't care about what's going on in your life. I don't care about, like, if you're suffering or if you're, doing good. So they don't really have that. For most Chinese people, it's like what do you call that? Like in their genetics, they say, for example, here, if you see someone, suffering, being bullied, you feel like if I don't help him, the bully gonna come towards me. So I think it has to do with the Western countries, and in their economical history and background, because it's involves a lot of business, so people have to make connections. So your happiness, matters to me, or
because they're all connected.
Yeah, so your situation matters to me. But in China, so people over there, Chinese people, they have a mindset that it's just my opinion that there are good people and nice people there, but a lot of people, they evaluate things. They think, if it's not my business, why would I say something? Well, if they see, I'm not saying Chinese people are, mean or bad. They also have conscience, they have a heart, they have love. But that doesn't mean they'll do something, they'll take any action. So the people over there in the past thousands of years, they have been encouraging the government or the lawmakers to take advantage of them, because they don't do anything. They are like, as long as it's not hurting me, I'm fine. And the government, I think it's, in my personal opinion, I think right now they think, the human rights situation can wait, and we want to work on the economy and technology and other stuff. I don't think don't care about the human rights situation at all. A lot of people, they think they don't care at all, but I think they're not stupid. It's, if you don't care about it, it's a timer bomb. It's going to explode someday. So it's just a matter of time. So I think that's their wrong evaluation. They think it you know, until the last second, they don't have to care about it. They want to work on the other stuff.
I think that it's like poison ivy or something. If you don't take care of your area and you don't watch it and don't realize that it's creeping in, the next thing you know, you're overrun and taken advantage of, and you didn't even realize that it was affecting you before. You know, even though you know it is. And it's just going to grow, and it's like a disease. You're not aware of it at first, but that doesn't mean it's not there. That doesn't mean that it's not bad. It's there, and it's working on you, and it's killing you. But you're not aware of it. You're not paying any attention to it. You were talking about migrants, or you were talking about the agriculture and all that. And my perception from years ago, because I'm old, but from years ago, was that there was a lot of migration, and that the people were leaving their areas to go work, but they had to ask the government for permission.
Yes.
So they were dependent, their livelihood and being able to live was dependent on the government saying okay.
It's like within China, for you to move from one place to another place, it's like you have to have a passport or something.
Within China.
Within China, yeah. Like even right now, you know, Hong Kong used to be controlled by the British, and then now it's part of China, because back in the days there were like wars between them, and Hong Kong was given to the British. So even now, for people from Hong Kong to go to China, they can go, like, I don't think they need a passport, but for Chinese people, they can live in China, people from Hong Kong. It's a small island, but people from China mainland, for them to go to Hong Kong, they have to get a passport. It is, you know, the law, but it also involves in some other stuff, because it's very complicated, because we have like 1.4, almost 1.4 billion people in China. So for them, if you let them go to Hong Kong, they wouldn't leave. It's like the illegal immigrants in here.
I gotcha.
Yeah, but you know, that's just the situation there. It's, you know, it doesn't give the government excuse to say, you know, it's right to, you know, within the country for people to travel, you know, you have to get a passport, you know, to limit their freedom and stuff. But the problem is the situation economically. Hong Kong is way better than China, so people, they don't want to stay in China mainland. And even a lot of people from China mainland, they go to Hong Kong, you know, they when they're pregnant, they give birth to their kids, and for their kid to become not a citizen, because they both are Chinese citizen, but to get a local identity. So when I was a child, for me to go to school locally, my mom had to I don't know what it's called in English. They have this system when I was a kid, like, say you are born in this area, and then for your whole family, they have a like identification, not a card, it's a book. So all your family members are in here. So for you to move to a different place, you have to move your, I can't
Your
think
whole
of,
family?
not your whole family. You have to remove your name from this book to register into a different place. So otherwise you couldn't get the benefit. It's like you have to get an ID from a different state, but here, you live there for over a year, you become a local resident. I think it's got a residency book in there or something. So when I was a kid, all the children there, like their residents, stay with their mom. So my mom married my dad, but they were in the same city. My mom's family and my dad's family wasn't too far apart. It was maybe, I'd say, like 50, 60 miles away, or maybe up to 100 miles. I don't know how far, but we were like riding bicycles like 45 minutes, so it's not that far.
Not very far.
So for me to go to school locally, because my mom moved in with my dad after they got married, my mom had to move her residence from her area to my dad's area, but it wasn't that easy to move it. It's back then you have to know someone to do it for you. You have to pay them money or buy them some gift or something nice. It's like I think now they changed the system, but back then it was really hard for people to do it. It's not like they have everything up front. You pay like $20 or something, you get your driver's license, you pay how much money, you get your passport. It's all listed. But over there, no, if you don't know someone, you can't do it. So I moved. Otherwise, if my mom didn't register our residence with my dad into my dad's family book, I wouldn't be able to go to school locally. Otherwise, I had to pay extra money. They call it like a sponsor fee or something, like you're not a local resident, so in order for you to go to school here, you have to pay extra money, and that's a lot of money. Like I think every year it's almost like 3 times my dad's monthly salary for a whole year. So that means he gotta pay out 3 months of his salary for me to go to school locally.
See, that is where a big misconception of mine was, because in my head, I had it that, China places such a premium on education and provides education for all its people, but this almost sounds like it's a lot of children may be in a situation where they end up not even being able to go to school.
I believe so. The laws regarding children is not very strict there. That's why sometimes you can see on YouTube they got kids like 5-year-old or 6-year-old, they're smoking cigarettes or drinking alcohol. And the thing is, they don't have what do you call it, CPS or something over there. They don't have it. So they do have the law stating everything out, but if you don't obey, that's nobody enforce you. When I was 4-year-old, my parents gave me, not my parents, my grandma, she gave me alcohol, not to poison me or something. She just think it's okay, it's cool. And I heard like somewhere in the United States they do that in the countryside.
Yeah, when I was growing up, that was real common, for to have a sip of beer. And in fact, I'm older, so my doctor actually had encouraged and told my grandparents to give me a glass of wine at night. So it depends on the area, I guess, that you're from. Yeah, and the generation that you're from.
So speaking of the education in China, it's a big mess right now. Well, a lot of people here, they think, you know, Chinese people, they do good at school, you know, they work hard, study hard. It is true, but it also it's like this. Put it this way, because we have only so much wealth in China, but the population is so huge, so you know everyone has to compete against each other. So the parents realize that when the kids are so young, so little, 3-year-old, they push the kids to go to school, and like not just for the kids to have fun with other kids. They have to study. They have to learn things. So, but over there, this right now the situation is like when the kids is like 3-year-old, they have this whole system. Like when you go to preschool in this area, for you to go to after you finish the preschool, when you go to kindergarten and you go to elementary school, it's like I don't know how to explain. It's like if you go to this one preschool and right after you finish this one, you automatically go to this kindergarten. But if you are from a different preschool, you can't come to this kindergarten. So it's like how do you know what I mean?
Like our school districts, though.
Yeah.
You know, your neighborhood schools.
So
someone from outside the neighborhood then wouldn't come.
So for them, for the parents and their children to go to a good school, you have to go to, like in the very first place, you have to pick a good preschool. Otherwise, you can't go to this elementary school or this junior high. So over there, they have a system. They call it 高考 and 中考. So they give the kids a test, like a national test. So after they finish their junior high, they go to high school. Before they go to high school, they take that national test. So the test is very strict and very hard. So if you don't do well in the test, you can't go to a good high school. And if you don't go to a good high school, and then before you go to university or college, you have to take a test. So over there, it's not like in here, you know, you apply for a university, they consider so many things, you know, your social activity and, you know, maybe your hobby and other stuff, not just your, what do you call that, your scores and your grade. But over there, they only take a look at your scores. So if you score good and you go to good college. So all these parents, they spend a lot of money for their, it's very competitive. If like this one preschool, they might be spending like $30,000 or something for just for their kids to enroll in. If you don't pay enough money, then they let the other kids, whoever pays enough money, in. So it's they from like day one they start, you know, they start the competition, and then they have to keep paying money, and because they give the test to so many students, but they only select very few to go to go to a good, you know, university and stuff. So for the there's like so much competition there. Like the parents, they are like taking their kids to like out of school programs, and all these hours are filled, so they pay so much money for it. Costs so much money over there for the kids to have a good education. But the thing is, you know, they spend a lot of time studying useless stuff, like just for them to do the test. I think the thing is, like, you know, for it's like some of my friends told me, because the government cannot create, or not the government, but just the whole society doesn't have enough job positions. So they don't have enough jobs. So they have to prolong their education time, like to let them stay in school for a very long time to wait for, you know, the jobs. Otherwise, you know, like you could finish all your education within maybe 10 years, and then after you finish, you know, you don't have a job. There are so many people jobless, unemployed, and I think the government worry about, you know, they might be in protest or, you know, giving them trouble. So they want them to study for a very long time. So when my parents' generation, as long as they finish middle school, they can go find a job. Like, you know, then after that, my uncle and like a little younger than my parents, if they finish high school, they're fine, they find a job. In my generation, like I was told when I was a kid, you have to graduate college or university, otherwise you wouldn't be able to find a job. And but by the time I didn't go to university in China, but by the time my generation finished their university, they still can't find a job. They're like, everybody has a university bachelor degree, so they have to get a master degree to stand out. And now I think the master degree cannot make them stand out no more. Then they have to get a PhD. But like it's like the value of that paper, that degree, that diploma, it doesn't weigh that much no more, because everyone is getting it. Yeah.
One thing you were saying when you were talking about the communities in the school, and you said, and then they can go to a good school. You had said that several times about a good school. So it almost sounds like then your education's not consistent then across the board. There's some communities that their kindergarten maybe is not as good as another kindergarten, or doesn't teach the same things, or their middle school is not as good as another middle school in another area?
Well, I think to say it's good, they are measured by the like every year, you know, the average scores of the students do in the test. So some, because they have this selective system, so you know, if you do good, they don't average the kids out. It's not like, you know, you live here, you live in this neighborhood, you go to this school. It's like everyone wants to go to the school, you know, in which last year the students average high scores.
But if they don't live there, they can't.
Unless
they have money.
Unless they have money, or they have two chances when they finish middle school, before they go to high school, they take a test. If they do really well in the test, and then they can. The next chance is before they go to college or university, they do good in the test. Or you know somebody, you know, they can get you in. If you know the principal or someone, you're a relative of the principal, or you sponsor the school money, you give the school $500,000 to build a building or something, then they're like, you know,
come on ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what I see then here is I meet people who come here in college, but that's only going to be a certain type of person, because the general people, population, a lot of them are not going to be attending the university here. So that shades our perceptions too, because we do a lot of perceptions based on, you know, what we see, what we hear, who we meet. And the people that I met in college, you know, were extremely intelligent, had been in school and had studied, you know, a lot, and but evidently that really isn't reflective of the people that the college kids are meeting here in school. Really, it doesn't appear to be reflective of the general population then. It's more of a specialized group.
Well, over there in China, I think the kids was kind of like forced by their parents to go to university, and forced by their parents to take certain majors, because their parents are like over caring about them too much, because in the past like 50 years, when the parents were young, they went through a lot of hardships and stuff, so they are scared. They don't want their kids to go through what they went through, so they are going extreme. They are going, like, in my opinion, if you can maybe go to school to learn how to fix cars, then you can find a job. Or you go to school to learn how to cook, you can become a chef. But the Chinese parents, they don't feel that way. They feel you have to be white collar, you have to to be on the top, because they are so scared that you don't do well in the competition. But so nobody is doing the regular jobs, nobody is getting the education that it's actually, it's not so fancy, but it's it
necessary.
No, that's another, it lost its balance over there.
But isn't it hard if they don't want you to move, okay, and you graduate, or well, you're still going to high school, let's say, or college, and there's no jobs in your community, and they don't want you to move, aren't they? Is that what you're saying, or aren't they kind of hindering you and keeping you from being able to get a job?
Right now, it's more open. They let you move. I think in like different places, they let you move, but you can't get a the residency, like where you move to, but they allow you to work there. They allow you to have a job. It's been, I think, in the past like 10-15 years, it's been improving, because before, I think like before 2000, they had to, for you to move to a new place, you have to go register, and you have to pay money to get a temporary whatever visa or something to stay in the new place. And now they allow you to move, and so a lot of people, they are rushing into the big cities.
Oh, so if in the meantime, while you were in school, prolonging your education to enter the workforce, if you start, it sounds like you'd be of an age where you would have already started a family. So if people who have families or have children want to move out of the area to get a job or to try to better themselves, or if there's not work in your area and you're not establishing a formal residency where you are, what about your children? Do they move with you, or do they stay back with the other, in the old residency and have to go to school there?
Well, it depends on how much money you have or what kind of job you have. If you have a high-end job, pays well, your children moves with you, and it wouldn't be hard for you to get the new the residency in the new place. Well, over there in China, as long you have enough money, the government can take care of you. It's not like rare to bribe someone, and it's considered normal. Like, people don't get surprised. Like, everybody does it. It's like in the bug in the system. So they don't see someone bribing someone, they don't think it's bad. They think, I just don't have enough money to bribe him. If I do, I'll do the same. So, but if you have low income, you don't take you can't take your children with you. They're like doing hard labor work, so
the children are?
No, not the children, the parents. So they are they don't get paid well, and their job is not stable. They work for a couple of months and they might get fired. Some of them might not even get paid. The boss bullied them. They're like, get paid tomorrow. I don't have enough money to pay you. Wait for next month. And it happens a lot. Like when they ask for money, the boss doesn't pay them, and they might hire some bully to beat them up.
So they don't have worker protection like the United States does. Then they don't have any kind of recourse against the employer.
I used to work in a a shopping mall, and the mall was building when I was working there, and they let you work extra hours, but they don't give you extra money. And one day the boss came in and she was saying that the employees, whoever joined the company before a certain date, for the extra hours you can get extra money, but after a certain date you can't. So but if you got nowhere to complain, if you complain to the boss, you get fired. So a lot of people over there, they're doing extra hours, extra time without getting paid.
I'm sorry. I lost my train of thought. Sorry.
Oh. We're talking about the.
Yeah, because my misperception was that the government, would take care of the people, but it sounds like you've got, they'll take care of you as long as you grease their palm with money.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really we all work together and put it all in a big pot, and we take care of everybody, or we make sure that everyone has housing, or we make sure everyone has health. Only if they've got money. How did they get money if you're poor? If you can't find a job, how do you survive?
Right now, I think it has been changing. I only know, what happened. Like, I only have a feel like, before I came to the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So right now I only see on the news or read the newspaper, but I don't, I'm not in there, so I don't know. But I know, like before I came here, I knew that in order for you, if you are an average person, for you to get a better chance in life, it's usually not by working hard. You have to do something illegal.
Oh.
But there are people, smart enough to do it without getting caught. Some people, they're not smart enough, they get caught. So it's a hustle that, you do something illegal, but you have to, know someone in the government. Say, for example, if, a police officer or a chief police officer, you give him gifts, or you give him money, or you take him out for dinner, and then you build a very good friendship with him. Then when you do something illegal but not so obvious, he'll take care of you. So in China, I think you can see that even in here. Chinese people, they come here, they're always smiling, they're always so friendly. That's their habit. Like, they are, because they don't know who they're dealing with.
That's their mask.
Yeah, they see someone, they have to figure out, what kind of job this person has, or, how much money he's making. Maybe he can help me. Maybe, he can better my life. So they're like being nice and smiling to everyone, just to what do you say?
project a positive image.
they're investigating you, like secretly. They're trying to figure out if you're useful to them or not. If you're not, they're still being nice to you because you don't know. Maybe next year you become the mayor or something. So they're trying to be nice so they can. You can say they trying to use people, but also they don't have another choice. That's the structure of the whole society. So everyone is trying to make connection with everyone, but there is no it's like a lot of stuff are under the table. So there are laws, but the laws are not really enforced, so applied. So people they're just being
just doing what they ought to do to get
ahead, they
to
just
survive.
I would say part of it, like they're gambling. They are gambling their life. They're betting on things because when there's not a clear system or clear laws, so there's nothing is guaranteed. So that's why you see so many Chinese people, they're gambling. They like to gamble. It's their mindset. They're always gambling. They're always betting on people. It's not only on table. They're like gambling their life. And another way, like they don't mind doing illegal stuff, but they're just trying to be smart. They don't get caught because the law is not very. It's not really enforcing. So as long they do it in a smart way, they know people. So everyone is hustling there. Is trying to hustle.
Well, it doesn't appear that they have any protection, so to speak, unless they
don't
get their own, basically develop their own protection, and that's the only way that
even a lot of rich people in China or a lot of government officials that has power, they are backed up by someone bigger. So if they're the one who's backing them up falls, then they fall. So you can see like a lot of the richest guy in China is like on the news. He's the #1 rich guy in China, and then today you see him on the news. He's the richest. Tomorrow you hear he's in prison because the one who's backing him up in the government, maybe something happened to him. And also, speaking of bribing, it's a part of the political. What do you call that? Strategy in China. The leaders, they know, there's corruption and bribing, but China right now is controlled by families. It's not only controlled by one dictator. Like back in the days, there was like Chairman Mao. I don't know if you heard of that name. When he was alive, it was like whatever he says, they have to listen to him. But now it's by different families. So each family, they have their power. They play an important role in that in that circle. So like they are working together, but they are also fighting with each other. So say for example, if I'm from a political family, you're from a different one, and next year we're gonna have a new Chinese president or a new whatever prime minister or mayor. I want my son to be that. To take that position. You want your son to take that position, then we're gonna be fighting. But it's not like army or soldiers involved. But you're gonna try to work with the other families, trying to put me in trouble. Because there is bribing everywhere and corruption everywhere. So you want me like. Like people, maybe someone say I'm from a political family, a big political family, and my relative trying to find a job to be the secretary of the mayor or something. They pay me money, and everyone does so. So maybe you put a little hidden camera in my office and record it, then you can use it against me. And looks like everything is lawful. That I'm corrupted and I was bribed, and then now I'm, handcuffed, and I got, because someone was bribing me, I took their money. But you do the same thing. It's just they use that to set each other's up. So I think that's, most people believe it. I mean, I don't really know politics, but I've read a lot of things. That's their way of controlling and balancing the power. Yeah. If there is no bribing, no corruption, when they are trying to kick you out of the circle or put in trouble, when they're competing, you guys are competing against each other, there's no other excuse to do so. So they use that as an excuse. So if we're allies, maybe we bond together to fight with the other family, then I know there's corruption in your family or in mine, or you do illegal stuff, but they don't say it. They keep their mouths zipped.
The focus then, it sounds like, would be, instead of, oh, we want your son to be mayor because he's better, he'll do this, this, and this, instead of it being positive like that, then they just focus on the negative and say, no, we don't want him to be because you're corrupt and you do these bad things. And
everyone is corrupted. Yeah. It's just like, whoever's smarter in that game.
To show the spotlight on it.
Yeah. So like a couple of years ago, there was a Chinese, he was in the top. His name is Bo Xilai. So he was trying to take the president. He was trying to become the president, and the current president, Chinese president, his name is Xi Jinping, and he was selected to become the president. So they were kind of, the other guy was, he had his plan. He was the governor in kind of like he was the head of we call it province in China, is the head of the province, and he was, making the economy good. He was making everything looking good to show his achievement to the whole nation, to have better support from people, because he wants to become the president. And but the other guy was selected by the former president, so he had a lower chance to become the president, but he wants to try, wants to give it a shot. Where I heard that he was making connection with some military leaders, trying to have a, what do you call that, a mutiny, or what is that word? When
they
mutiny?
go up, when they rise up against him.
Yeah. So, but he wasn't doing it so smart, where he was doing it too obvious. So he got caught, and now he's in prison. But when he's in prison, then they find out, you killed people and you were doing, this and that when you were the head of that province. But everyone is doing so. It's just like, a matter of if they want to put you in prison or not. If they do, they have these excuses. If they don't, you're fine.
It's like whenever they choose to use whatever they have against you, you always have to worry about when that's going to come.
Yeah, so they want corruptions and bribing there, so whenever, they want to use it against you, they have something to use against you. Yeah.
I'm kind of confused on how they select their leaders and things, because the current leader just says, okay, I'm going to have you, or do the people have any say in it? And who's this guy that President Trump is dealing with? How does that all come together?
They have families, political families. Before 1949, China was was run by a different political party, and currently is the Taiwan government. So they had a civil war, and the Taiwan government lost. So they were kicked out of China mainland. They went to Taiwan. So the current the Communist Party took over China, and when they all came from poor people. So before 1949, all these people, they were like, peasants, farmers, were like hard workers. So they were mad at the government not treating them well. So they united together. They took over China, overthrew the other government, which moved to Taiwan now. So after they took over China, and they had their leader, Chairman Mao. He was the Chinese president, the leader for until I think 1976. So after he died, China went from having one dictator to so many political families controlling China. So because Chairman Mao, he was the big guy, he was the big boss. So the big boss passed away. So not a single person has enough power to how do you say that, to suppress the other guys. So they were like, let's work together. So then each year, I think it's kind of like a voting, not a voting, but a discussion or a negotiating among all those families. So they're all gonna sit together. It's not done in the office where it's done maybe around the dinner table. All these family leaders. It's kind of like a mafia thing. They sit together and they're gonna discuss. I want my son to be the president next year, and the other person will be like, oh no, they're gonna discuss about it. Then they're gonna make a decision under the table. So they consider the profit and benefit for all families, for the majority of the families. So it involves a lot of negotiation. So it's not like the former president select the next one, but usually it's the power and the families behind him to choose the next one.
Almost like a business.
Yeah, it's like a business.
It's like the board.
Yeah.
Okay, so the common people really don't have any.
Well, they not at all. They officially, you can vote, but whatever you vote doesn't really matter. They are pre-selected.
Yeah,
I think they don't call it voting because there is only one candidate. They don't have a second one. Okay. So you either say, I agree or I disagree. But the thing is, if you disagree, if everyone disagree, so who's going to be the president? It will be like no president. So like.
Well, and what happens to you if you disagree? I wonder. I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, they don't really consider that. They say, I think they have like a button to push, and the light lights up, different color. But I think that's what they say. Like, it doesn't matter what button you push, the agree light is always gonna light up.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the situation over there right now. Those families, they don't want to give up on the benefit they already have.
And they're really not that concerned about the benefits of the.
Well, I'd say most of them don't, and some of them they might, I believe that, like, there's good people, bad people everywhere. I believe even in those families there are people they concerning about people's life, but they have people in their way. It's like, let's say right now the Chinese president, there are like two different voices, opinions on him. Some people think he's a because he just prolonged his what do you call that? He just delayed his retirement time. So now I think he can be the president for the rest of his life. There's no more like time limit. But some people think, he's trying to be a dictator, trying to be an emperor, like. But other people also believe he needs more time to make a change.
In order to.
So you don't know until it happens. So because he might be wanting to be a dictator, or maybe he wants to make a change, or maybe 5-10 years later he will make a change, or maybe he doesn't, maybe he tried or he failed, but we never know what's really going on his mind.
Right, but it's usually not black and white anyway.
But the point I'm trying to say is that even he's trying to make a change, it's not Chairman Mao's era anymore, so it's not that age anymore, so all these other families are in his way. We don't know he wants to make a change or not, but if he does, all these families are in his way. If he make a change, make China, democratic, or make China have the better human rights situation, means you give more rights to the slave, so it's going to hurt the slave masters. So all these families are going to say no. They might be doing something, saying, we don't want him to be the president no more. So because he's not, helping us, he's helping the people. So it's a whole mess there. It's not that easy. It's not just like one guy, runs everything. Because if one guy runs everything, you still have a hope that maybe one day this new guy, he woke up and he's trying to, be remembered by the history, to be a hero, to help people. But now it's not that easy. It's all these families. It's not just this one guy. So I think it's like here the president can't just do whatever he wants, because you got the Senate, or what do you call that, or the
Senate and the Congress.
Yeah, it's Congress, but there he got those families. So you know what I mean.
But you're also talking a shorter period of time here. That it's 8 years tops.
Yeah.
So at least we know that he either has to get his agenda done within that 8 years, or have other people who are going to carry on that agenda, or they'll be out and be able to start a different agenda, So at least with us, we have the time control. We have the semblance of having an influence on changing that. So it sounds like with the families and the chairman or whatever, the leader that they choose, it's going to stay in there unless there's some kind of something that happens to change the majority's mind, which doesn't sound too easy to do or realistic.
Not easy. China is a country, has a long history, so it has a lot of issues from the history. So, like, I think in 1920 or 1910 or 1911, before then it was a dynasty called the Qing dynasty. It was the emperor, and the emperor realized that they have to do. They have to have the Congress. They have to have the Senate. Or is that the right word to say?
Senate.
Senate. They have to have the Senate. Otherwise, they were like left far behind by the other countries. They were, they wouldn't run China very long. They were having a lot of issues, but he waited. He didn't do it right away. They were it was actually his mother was controlling China behind the scene. But anyway, so they didn't do it right away. They were planning to. The mother was like, do it 20 years later after I pass away. I don't care what's going on. So, but they realized they had to do it, but she just didn't want to give up her power. So people did not wait. They had a revolution, a violent revolution. They overthrew China, the emperor. So, and then after that, in about like 20 years, China was in what do you call that? It was civil war, like ongoing, like all the time. But it wasn't just like one party. There was, the military guys from the emperor age. After the kingdom fell apart, all those those army guys, all those generals and stuff, they have their army, so they all wanted a chance to become the new leader, so they were constantly fighting against each other. So after that, Japan was invading China, so there was wars too. So, and then the communists took over China, and the Chairman Mao, I think he was scared, or he was afraid of all those issues are gonna be affecting China. So he wanted brand new. I think he made the wrong decision. So he was trying all this new stuff, but they didn't really work. They were like destroying China. Like was one of the things he did was he was trying to compete against Russia or America. So he was like collecting like silverware and all whatever is made of metal, and he put them back in the pot and trying to to produce more iron and for a better GDP and the better, like competing against the Western country in numbers. So,
right.
We have like a million tons of iron produced this year and stuff. So, but when people, they don't have spoon to use. They don't have. So he wasn't very good at running the government. He was good at wars and the battles. He was really smart at that. He won the fight. He kicked out the other political party. He won the civil war, but he made a lot of wrong decisions. So China went down. So China is like an old man. It went through a lot of hardships. It is really, I think, it's very it's very sad, because such an ancient country with a lot of great people, inventions and thoughts and contributions to the world, and it's supposed to go to a promising and a greater way, but now it's sad. It's very sad.
Yeah, it's sad when we have such a history and we don't learn from the history and take the good from the history and build on it. And instead, I mean, we do it here too. I'm sure they do it everywhere. You just keep repeating the same mistakes. You see it didn't work before, but you want to change, but sometimes you change and you go backward rather than forward because you're repeating mistakes. It's like you're not paying attention to that rich history.
Yeah.
So.
And I think it's very important to learn from the mistakes and to pay more attention, because like you said earlier, right now there are problems there. It's not either people or the government, because they're together. They are they are, it's holistic. They are one whole thing. The people, if they don't have a good life, they're not gonna want that government. And the government also depend on the people. It's not just like they run people, they also depend on those people, because without those people, they're gonna lose their benefit too.
How does the government depend on the people if the people aren't really electing them, or they're not really answerable to the people?
Like a metaphor, like if you are the slave master, you depend on your slaves. You don't treat your slaves good,
Yes.
Right?
That's a good metaphor.
Yeah.
Okay, I can understand that then. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm not saying
what they can do for you.
Yeah.
And what you can use them for.
Yeah, and also I'm not saying it's good for them to treat people that way, or it's right for them to be the slave master, but just in their point of view, if you think in their shoes, if you want to be the slave master longer, at least you got to realize you better treat your slaves better, otherwise you're not going to do it long.
That's why a lot of companies here in the United States, we would tell them, where I worked, they didn't want a union, but the union kept wanting to come in. Well, very simply, if you don't want a union, then you better give your benefits to your people to where they'll say, whoa, they're taking care of us. We're getting better benefits without doing that, So, yeah, it's take care of your own,
The boss can fire the employees, but the employees, they can unite together to fire the boss too. So so I think it's not just to be fair. I think it's also important for the Chinese leaders to realize that they need to work on it and find a better solution to not just focus on the economies and the technologies and their quality of life, but also to think about for a more for a long-term harmony in the society and in the country.
In the country and in the world.
Yeah.
Because we're more of a global concentration now. But you've got to take care of your own and get all of your own strengthened.
Yeah,
before you can.
Exactly, like before, I think now, like the North Korea and the China, they're not that intimate no more. But before, they were very close. So China was like supporting North Korea for a very long time. But the thing is, I heard that joke on the internet that they have the nuclear weapon. If they decide to destroy someone, China is the nearest country. So you're supporting him, and he might be throwing.
We might be friends.
Yeah, it's like you're raising a mad dog. Then the dog might just come back and
Yeah.
All right. So our time is up today. So we'll continue this topic in the next episode. Thank you. Bye bye.